Ireland to give 776 million euro to the Department of Foreign Affairs for developing countries and countries in need. Now, the total budget for Ireland will be 2 billion. You've got that number right. 2 billion euro. But the Department of Foreign Affairs has been allocated 776 million euro to help developing countries. This doesn't add up. This comes at a time in Ireland where there is 14,000 Irish natives homeless on the streets, 4,000 of those children. Why is Ireland giving out so much money to developing countries? Has this not been trialed and tested? Now, not all of this money will be given to developing countries. It'll probably go to countries like Ukraine and other countries that are already developed, going through war. But as I say, Ireland and charity alone, just to speak about the charity thing before we get into this little article, you would have been given trochara boxes as a kid to collect money for developing countries. Trillions have been raised. And just on the charity front, trillions have been given to these developing countries. And these developing countries haven't developed. So where did this money really go to? Well, if you look into these big charities, I'm not talking about the smaller charities because I understand there's a lot of smaller charities. And I know people who work for smaller charities that do really, really good work, better work than the bigger charities. But the bigger charities have been taking your money for years and they've been pumping them into developing countries, but not to the right sectors. A lot of this money goes to guerrilla warfare, buying weapons. They will allocate money to a developing part of Africa, and the leader of that place, because it's corrupt, will take that money and spend it on himself, on weapons, on something that doesn't benefit the people of that land. So for that reason, I have never give money to the big charities ever again, because you realize how much the CEOs are making. You realize how much the people are making just of that alone. Your money doesn't really go to the people in need. That's just on the charity front. Now, this is on what we're about to speak about here is the government front. The amount of money, the amount of taxpayer money that goes across the water into developing countries all around the world, while at the same time they're bringing in people from that country. So it doesn't add up to me. You're, for the past, say, a good 100 years to 80 years, Ireland, England, the West has given a lot of money to developing countries, and we have seen no change. It's actually gotten worse. So my question with all of this, the amount of money, the billions of euros, the billions of pounds, the billions of dollars that are being spent in these developing countries has not worked, because there is a mass migration from these countries, let's say, for example, Africa, out of those countries and into Europe. And there's a mass migration into Ireland because the Irish government has given these people an incentive to come here. So at the exact same time, your country, Ireland, is spending 2 billion on foreign aid. Well, the foreign aid isn't getting there, and they're migrating to here for a better life because the government has given them an incentive to come here. So they're spending double the money, and it's all under your nose. A bit like I'm going to give this man 200,000 to build the house. This man takes the 200,000, the house isn't built, and he comes to live in my house. Questions would be asked. Now, this is just for Ireland alone. You could imagine the amount of money throughout all the European states, all the European countries, the United States of America, and the West in general. You could imagine the amount of money that's been given to these countries. It goes into the trillions. So my question is, why are these countries not developed yet? Department of Foreign Affairs to spend record 775 million euro on overseas development aid. International Development Assistance ODA programs managed by the Department of Foreign Affairs have received their highest ever allocation of 775.3 million euro for 2024. This is less than half of Ireland's total official development assistance for 2024, which will be just under 2 billion. Fianna Fáil Minister of State at the Department of Foreign Affairs, Sean Fleming, says the government's policy for international development, outlined in the A Better World strategy document, provides the framework and the objective of reaching the furthest behind first and addressing the needs of those living in some of the world's poorest and most climate exposed countries and those living in areas affected by conflict. The government delivers this support through its bilateral development programme, channeled through Irish embassies in relevant countries, through civil society NGOs and humanitarian organisations, and through multilateral organisations, including the United Nations. The information was confirmed in a reply to independent TD Carol Nolan after she asked the Taoiseach and Minister for Foreign Affairs, Michael Martin, to provide details of the total amount of the Irish ODA budget in monetary terms received for each of the 12 listed countries in the decade 2013 and 2023 inclusive. Gript has previously reported that Irish taxpayers give more than €640 million in overseas aid for the 2011-2016 period to countries that ranked in the 50 worst offenders for persecuting Christians. The then Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade released the information on funding in response to a question from independent TD Maddie McGrath. So basically, we're giving money to countries that are persecuting against Christians. We're giving lots of money to guerrilla warfare. We're giving lots of money to Sharia-ran countries, i.e. shitholes that have basically no human rights, and they probably still believe in witch doctors. So for me personally, this is telling times. This is the Irish government trying to do their little part in my opinion, the globalist plan. What they're doing is saying, look at us, we're good little boys. Let us in your globalist plan. We will be your guinea pig. We will give all our money to developing countries. We don't care if they're persecuting against Christians. You've just read that, right? This is all verified information. We don't care what they do to them. But put it this way, would the Irish government give aid to a country that's, say, persecuting against Muslims? Probably not. So this is where your money is going. They do not care. They don't care about the fact that there's 14,000 Irish natives homeless in the street. They do not care that there's 4,000 of those children. They do care about pumping billions into other countries that never really appreciate it. They never take the benefit from that. They should be developed by now, in my opinion, because there's been probably more than trillions if you tally up the charity and the foreign aid that all countries give these developing countries. And at the same time, you have China swooping into Africa and the Middle East, collecting up all those valuable resources after Joe Biden pulled out the US military in 12 hours. So this just doesn't add up. This just isn't an Irish problem. This is an American problem. This is a British problem. And this is a European problem. Why is so much money going to these countries and they're not benefiting from it? Why is there so much money going to these countries and the people still have to flee from them? Why is there so much money being pumped into these countries and at the same time the Irish government is giving them an incentive to come here? So they're spending double. Not only are they spending billions on foreign aid, which isn't really benefiting them, it's just basically going up the nose of whatever guerrilla tactician or guerrilla lord takes that money. But they're also saying to the people in those countries, please come to Ireland, because we're going to not only spend billions in your own country and give it to the corrupt politicians of that country, but we're also going to ask the residents of that country to come to Ireland and spend billions on them here also. So what I would say to the Irish government, you need to get your act together very, very fast, because public opinion is getting really, really low with every single one of you. That's it, guys. That's what I have for you today. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what you think. If you want to go buy me a coffee, the buy me a coffee link can be found in the description and the comment section, along with the links for my X, formerly known as Twitter, and my Rumble. And you can go follow me on those platforms too. That's it, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Peace.